Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Brakahagwadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video, and I'm going to start it off in Isaiah chapter 24, verse 4. The earth mourneth and fadeth away. The world languisheth and fadeth away. The haughty people of the earth do languish. And when we go into that word languisheth in the Strongs, it's H535. Amal, to be weak, to droop, to languish, to be exhausted, to be or grow feeble. And I opened up the video with this verse to preface an article I'll be going into on endoftheamericandream.com titled, "The Next Great Mass Extinction is Already Here." And as we'll see from the information in this article, the earth is definitely languishing. You're having a mass die-off of wildlife all across the planet, from marine life to birds, etc., etc. And why is that? Back in Isaiah chapter 24, verse 5, the earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, and broken the everlasting covenant. Because the rulers of this planet right now, who are of the nation of Esau, Edom, or these so-called white people, don't govern this world by the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai in the scriptures. They do everything clean contrary to it. Hence, while the earth is defiled and languishing under the inhabitants thereof, you've got chemtrails getting sprayed into the skies, pollution getting poured into the oceans, which are causing marine life to beach themselves on these shores because they can't handle it. You've got animals that aren't supposed to be eaten according to the laws because they have a benefit to the environment, being hunted in mass numbers. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, radiation, killing off a lot of animals like birds and bees, lands getting strip mined for their resources, animals getting hunted to extinction, the lands not having a land Sabbath or rest to allow it to rebuild its nutrients to bring forth stronger fruits and vegetables. The list goes on and on. And if these Edomites were allowed to rule indefinitely, this planet would be turned into an uninhabitable, desolate wasteland. But all praises to the Most High that He set bounds that this Edomite could not pass. And we've just about reached the end of this Edomite, as well as these other heathen nations' rulership before the ushering in of the kingdom of heaven. And when the kingdom of heaven is established, the planet is going to be run under the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. So everything is going to flourish. The planet is going to go back to being like the Garden of Eden. And if you can believe it, even better than the Garden of Eden. But until then, these Edomites in control of the planet and these other heathens that follow after the practices of the Edomites. Because, as it says in Sirach or Ecclesiasticus chapter 10 in the Apocrypha, as the king or the ruler is, so are the people, roughly paraphrasing. These other heathen nations are following after the practices of the Edomites and further just defiling the earth and causing it to languish. Until these heathens are taken out of power, the planet is just going to continue to be in a worse and worse case. Now let's get into this article. Death is all around us, but most of us are so focused on our own little worlds that we can't even see it. There have been other mass extinctions throughout history, but the one that is happening right now is much different from all those that have come before. This is because it is happening very gradually. Over the past 50 years, billions of creatures have been wiped off the face of our planet, but it didn't happen all at once. It has been a slow, steady process, and the mainstream media hardly ever talks about it, so most people don't pay any attention to this crisis, even though it truly is an existential threat to our existence. And when we look throughout so-called human history, has there ever been another point in history where things on the planet have been as worse as they are right now? No. If all other creatures were suddenly eliminated, humanity would not survive for very long at all. But for some reason, we don't seem to understand this. Even though we are at the top of the food chain, we can't afford to ignore what is going on below us. And right now, what is happening to much of the food chain is absolutely horrific. And why are the majority of people on this planet not noticing these things? Because they're proud, they're vain, they're self-centered, they're haughty. As it says back in Isaiah 24 verse 4, the haughty people of the earth do languisheth. People are so concerned with their own lives that they don't see that the planet is in a state of decline all around them, and even they're in a state of decline. The Living Planet Index tracks the populations of 32,000 different species, and we are being told that those 32,000 different populations have declined by an average of 69% since 1970. The Living Planet Index, LPI, which tracks populations of mammals, birds, fish, reptiles, and amphibians, reveals an average 69% decrease in monitored wildlife populations since 1970. The 2022 LPI analyzed almost 32,000 species populations. It provides the most comprehensive measure of how they are responding to pressures in their environment. 69%. If that doesn't meet the definition of mass extinction, what does? We have been entrusted with the care of this planet, and just about everything on it is dying. In fact, at this point, countless species of plants and animals are literally on the verge of extinction. The earth is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, and broken the everlasting covenant. In Africa, 2/3 of animal populations have been lost. In Europe, there has been an animal population decline of 18%. In Asia, the damage is 55%, and in North America, animal populations have fallen by 20%. The greatest losses are occurring in Latin America and throughout the Caribbean. Animal populations have plummeted by 94% in these areas. Millions of species of plants and animals are now on the verge of extinction. And like I just said, as it says in Sirach chapter 10, as the king and the ruler is, so are the people. With these Edomites who do everything clean contrary to the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai in power right now, these other nations across the planet are following after their wicked practices because they perceive that since these Edomites did these things and they're the ones in power right now, that if we do the same, we'll have a better understanding. We'll have a better standing and get more power in society. They follow after the practices of these Edomites and are just further exacerbating the problems taking place on the planet. Marco Lambertini, Director General of WWF International, said the entire organization is extremely worried by the new data. The data shows a devastating fall in wildlife populations, in particular in tropical regions that are home to some of the most biodiverse landscapes in the world. He said, this includes warm water coral reefs, which have been cut in half over the past 50 years. And I remember a brother, I believe it was the brother in Hawaii, did a video a couple of years ago showing that those Japhites in Hawaii were getting mad at American tourists for using so much sunscreen and going and swimming in the ocean because it was killing off and polluting a lot of the coral reefs around Hawaii. And what nation of people is mainly known for using sunscreen because they get burnt in the sun? You know who. Edomites. Why aren't more people concerned about this? Because they're haughty and just concerned about their own trivial life and issues. If we stay on the path that we are currently on, it is just a matter of time before most species are gone. Do you think that we will be able to survive once there are thousands of giant gaps in the food chain? Of course not. The clock is ticking for humanity, and most people are in a deep state of sleep. Speaking of sleep, I remember often waking up to the sound of birds when I was very young. But now, in many communities around America, the birds are missing. In fact, a report that was recently released found that birds are being wiped out in the United States at a rate that is absolutely staggering. The rufous hummingbird, greater sage grouse, pinyon jay, and 67 other birds in the United States are teetering on the edge of disaster, having lost at least half of their populations in the past 50 years. A report released today by North American Bird Conservation Initiative, NABCI, calls these birds tipping point species on track to lose another 50% of their populations in the same time frame if conservation efforts do not improve. Given enough time, eventually they will all be gone. And like I said a little earlier in the video, a lot of this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, D, E, F, G radiation out here in these towers are causing a lot of birds and beasts to die off. You can just go look up videos showing a lot of dead birds, a lot of dead bird bodies laying around those towers. What would we do then? We have also just learned that the crab population in Alaska has suffered a decline that is truly catastrophic. According to an annual survey of the Bering Sea floor carried out by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, estimates for the crustaceans' total numbers fell to about 1.9 billion in 2022, down from 11.7 billion in 2018, or a reduction of about 84%. For the first time ever, the Alaska Department of Fish and Game announced the Bering Sea snow crab season will remain closed for 2022 to 2023. In a statement, efforts must turn to conservation and rebuilding given the condition of the stock. And you're not supposed to be eating crabs, shrimp, lobsters, crawfish, or any type of shellfish. That's against the laws in Leviticus. But again, hey, this planet isn't governed by the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Hence, why the earth is languishing and defiled under the haughty people thereof. There are countless other examples just like this, but very few people seem to care. So with this article, but as we can clearly see, again, the earth is defiled and is languishing under the inhabitants thereof, chiefly the Edomites, who do everything clean contrary to the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. And if the Edomites were allowed to rule indefinitely, and these other heathen nations following after their practices weren't stopped, this planet would be turned into a desolate, uninhabitable wasteland, but all praises to the Most High that he set up bounds that this Edomite couldn't pass. Close it out in Matthew chapter 24, verse 22. And except those days should be shortened, and the Most High set up bounds that this Edomite could not pass, there should no flesh be saved, extinction level events, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. And I've done a video in the past showing that scientists are saying that due to the Earth's rotation getting faster, the days are literally being shortened. And in the scriptures, you read that when the children of Israel, so specifically the elect, prayed to the Most High, that he makes things come to pass. Hey, so our prayers are being heard, and the Most High is being a man of his word, hey, shortening these days for the elect's sake. And again, setting up those bounds that Esau cannot pass. And once Esau and these other heathen nations are taken out of power, and the children of Israel, beginning with the elect, are set back in power in the kingdom of heaven, we're going to rule this planet under the laws, statutes, and commandments, and everything's going to go back to flourishing again. As it says in Proverbs chapter 29, verse 2, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people, as well as the entire planet, mourn. So that's it with this video. And with this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. We're almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.